What's up, guys? I'm really excited for this video. It's part 2 of my NBA record predictions. I brought you my Eastern Conference picks. Now I'm going to bring you my West picks. And coincidentally, right after I dropped my East video, Carmelo Anthony winded up getting traded from the Knicks to the Oklahoma City Thunder. So if I had did my East rankings after that, I probably would have dropped the Knicks down a few wins, but at least it happened in time, just in time for me to do my West predictions and adjust accordingly with my West teams, because getting Carmelo actually did bump my prediction up a little bit for the Thunder, just a little bit inside info there. But with that being said, I'm really excited to do the West teams. The East was cool, but quite frankly, the West is the more interesting conference and has been for quite a while now. So looking forward to this. So yeah, let's jump into it. All right, so let's start with our West lottery teams, aka the teams that I do not think will make the playoffs this year. Starting from the bottom, got the Sacramento Kings at 25-57. I think that they've made some nice moves in the draft, but it's gonna be a while before we start to see those pay off in the wins column. But I do think they're going to be able to add to those draft picks next year. And then next we got the Suns at 29-53. They're also improving, but I think they'll be around the bottom. The Lakers are going to be really fun to watch, but I don't know if that's going to translate to a lot of wins just yet, although next year could be a different story. Stay tuned. 12, the Pelicans. I know they have Anthony Davis and DeMarcus Cousins, but I just don't think that's going to work, having two big guys on the floor together and not a whole lot of shooting surrounding them. If you're going to have two bigs like that on the court, you need to have plenty of spacing on the floor, and they don't have that. Their roster's constructed poorly, and I wouldn't be shocked if Cousins is not on the roster by the All-Star break. At 11, the Grizzlies. I think they're on the downswing. Could be the end of the grit and grind era as we know it in Memphis. Sorry, Grizzlies fans. At 10, the Jazz. I do think they're going to be pretty good. They're going to hang around there, but losing Gordon Hayward's going to be a tough blow for their playoff hopes. And then at 9, just outside the playoffs, I got the Dallas Mavericks. I think that Dirk is going to have a bounce-back year. I love the draft pick of Dennis Smith Jr., but in the tough Western Conference, I got them just missing out of the playoffs. All right, so now let's jump into our West playoff teams. My 8th seed I've got is the Los Angeles Clippers at 41-41. I do think I've heard some people say that they think the Clippers are going to have a big year even without Chris Paul. I've heard that Blake Griffin may not be ready for the start of the season. If that's the case, I think that's going to be a big blow. I like the fact that they were actually able to get some pieces back for Chris Paul and not just lose him in free agency, but they actually were able to make a trade for him. But I don't think that guys like Patrick Beverley and Sam Decker and Montrezl Harrell are going to be enough to fill the void left by Chris Paul. I do think with Blake Griffin and some of the pieces they have, the Gallinari and getting Milos Teodosic from overseas, that'll be enough to make them a playoff team, but I don't think it makes them a championship contender. So I've got them getting into the playoffs at 41-41, but it'll probably be an early exit for the Clips in my estimation. At number 7, I've got a team that I think is going to be really exciting and fun to watch this year. It's the Denver Nuggets. I got them going 44-38. I love the pickup of getting Paul Millsap. I think he's a perfect fit for that offense and defense. His ability to stretch the floor, I think he's the perfect front court partner with Nikola Jokic. I do think they have a weakness at the point guard spot. I don't know if Jamal Murray will end up being their starting point guard, but they've definitely got some holes to fill, but they're going to be really fun. I think they're going to score a lot of points. They're going to be improved on defense. Nuggets fans are going to have a lot to be excited about this year. Definitely got them as a playoff team. They just missed it last year, so I think this year they'll get in. At number 6, I got the Portland Trailblazers, another team that I think is going to be fun to watch. That's going to be a theme with these with these Western Conference teams. A lot of these teams are going to be fun to watch this year. They've got one of the best offensive backcourts in the league with Dame Lillard, CJ McCollum. If Yusuf Nurkic looks anything like he looked like at the end of the year last year when he was healthy, he's really going to provide a spark for them. Portland was really fun to watch last year once they got Nurkic and made that trade. Like Denver, they've kind of got a few holes. Theirs is more the front court, whereas Denver's holes are in the back court. The Blazers, their 3 and 4 spots are pretty iffy. Aminu's a nice player. I feel like they could use some upgrades there. I know they were really interested in Carmelo, which would have been a real interesting fit for them. But I think Portland's a solid playoff team as well. They're going to score a lot of points. Lillard should make a run at All-NBA this year. He should certainly be an All-Star. And CJ McCollum should have a great year as well. So I've got the Blazers as my 6th seed. All right, continuing along in the extremely competitive Western Conference, I've got one of my favorite basketball teams, and that would be the Minnesota Timberwolves, who I believe currently have the longest drought actually in the league of not making the playoffs. I think that ends this year. A lot of people thought that would be last year that they'd get in. Didn't happen. They were really too young. I don't think they had enough leadership in the locker room, and they didn't have enough vets on the team, and they definitely solved that problem this year. They added tons of vets. They, of course, got Jimmy Butler. They added Jamal Crawford, Taj Gibson. They added some guys who are really looked at as leaders, not only on the court but in the locker room. Guys that have played under Tom Thibodeau before. They know his system. I think Minnesota is going to have a great season. They'll be a 5 seed in the playoffs. They'll have a chance, I think, to get out of the first round of the playoffs. I really like their team. Karl Anthony Towns is probably my favorite player in the NBA. I really like Jimmy Butler. It will be interesting to see how Butler and Wiggins fit together, because Andrew Wiggins and Jimmy Butler basically play the same position and have the exact same strengths and weaknesses. So it'll be interesting to see how they complement each other, given they like to do a lot of the same things. But so I'm a little worried about that. I'm also a little worried about their shooting. They don't have a ton of floor spacing. So we'll have to see how that works out. But I really like the Timberwolves. I'm optimistic that they'll have a great year this year. It'll be fun to see. And my 4 seed this year, I've got the Houston Rockets winning 56 games. James Harden, Chris Paul. I think it's going to work. I think it's going to be great. My concern is about the rest of the roster. Trevor Ariza is a solid player. Clint Capella is a nice up-and-coming center. Ryan Anderson is a guy, they tried to get rid of him, tried to trade him so that they could make room to get Carmelo, and nobody wanted him. I think, even though he's a good shooter at his position, he really is not a good defender. He's slow, so it kind of challenges what they can do defensively. But they did pick up PJ Tucker, who's a really good wing defender. I love that pickup. I love some of the moves that they did make to improve on the defensive side of the field. So it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. But I've got them winning 56 games and being the 4th seed in the West, and definitely being a team that has a chance to make a difference come playoff time. 3 seed in the West is the team that, in my opinion, had the best offseason. I mean, they were able to get Paul George and Carmelo Anthony, and in both cases, they weren't thought of as the team that was talked about primarily getting them. With Paul George, it was the Cavs, and it was the Lakers, and it was the Rockets, and there were all these teams, the Celtics, there were all these teams that were talking about getting Paul George. Then OKC just kind of quietly snuck in there and got Paul George. And even if they had just done that, that would have been a huge improvement. They went out and got Patrick Patterson. They re-signed Andre Roberson. And now everyone with Carmelo was talking about the Rockets and the Cavs. Even the Clippers were mentioned a little bit. And there you go. It's OKC once again who sneaks in and makes the deal happen. So they got one guy who is an all-star in the prime of his career, and another guy who's a former all-star who's still a really good scorer. OKC quietly has a really good team. I think they're a championship contender. I would not be shocked to see them in the Western Conference Finals, maybe giving Golden State a run for their money. They're a deep team. Obviously, I haven't even mentioned the reigning MVP, Russell Westbrook, who no longer has to try and do everything by himself. He's got plenty of help now. So I'm looking forward to seeing this team play and seeing what they can do to make a run. My 2 seed is a team that knows a whole lot about winning, the San Antonio Spurs. 57 wins is actually pretty low for them, considering they win at least 60 games, it seems like, every year. I do think the Spurs take a few steps back in the wins column because, other than Kawhi Leonard, they kind of have some holes in their roster. They've got some spots where they're either really young or really old. Tony Parker's injured. He's probably not going to be back until February, March at the earliest. So point guard's an issue. Hopefully DeJounte Murray will have an opportunity. Shout out to DeJounte, by the way, from my hometown, Seattle, from University of Washington. So shout out DeJounte. But hopefully he'll get a chance to develop and blossom and maybe even become the starting point guard there. They need some help in the front court. LaMarcus Aldridge has struggled to really carry the load up front in their center position. They lost Dwayne Dedmon. Pau Gasol's getting really up there in age. So I'd like to see them add, someone significant in the front court to really help them out there. But they have Kawhi Leonard, and Kawhi Leonard's really good. He may or may not be my pick for MVP this year. You'll have to stay tuned for that. I'll be making that pick in a later video. But he's so good on both ends of the floor. Greg Popovich is the best coach, in my opinion, the best coach ever in NBA history. So when you combine those two, you're going to win a lot of games no matter who else is around you. So I got the Spurs as a 2 seed. And we'll see what they do in the playoffs, because they'll be there. And at number 1, really no surprise, it's the big bad bullies, the team that's better than everyone else, the Golden State Warriors. Really not a whole lot to say. I mean, they were the best team in the league last year by a mile, and I think they're better this year. They got deeper. Kevin Durant is back from injury. He's fully healthy now. He played in the finals. As long as his fake Twitter accounts don't get in the way, that's the only thing I really see stopping them. I mean, in all seriousness, he's just so good. Steph Curry, they've got 2 MVPs on their team. Draymond Green is a do-it-all player. He's one of the more versatile players to ever play the game. Klay Thompson would be a superstar if he wasn't on any other team, basically, but he's like the 4th best player on his team, and he's one of the best two-way players in the entire league, one of the greatest shooters we've ever seen, an outstanding perimeter defender. They just added a bunch more vets and depth. Barring an injury, I really don't see any way that anybody beats them, to be honest with you. I think there's teams that can give them a run for their money, but Golden State's just too good. I mean, they're just too good. Other teams are going to have to figure out who they can add. Other superstars are going to have to come together, because that's the only way I can see anyone really challenging these guys. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what other teams do. But for now, Golden State's the champs. They're better, and somebody's going to have to step up and knock them out. Otherwise, they're going to be raising another banner at Oracle. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed my 2-part series, my NBA record predictions preview. Be on the lookout pretty soon. I'm going to drop a couple more videos. I'm going to have one where I give my all-NBA team predictions. So who's going to make first, second, third team all-NBA. And then I'm also going to make my predictions for like all the regular season awards. So like MVP, 6th Man of the Year, Coach of the Year, all that stuff. I'm going to make my preseason predictions for that. So season's coming soon. I know we're just now starting to settle into football season. Already basketball season's coming. So October is by far my favorite month of the year, even though it gets cold out. But I just love October because you've got basically all the sports going on at once. It's really the only month where you can say that. Baseball postseason's getting underway too, so I'm probably going to drop a video with my predictions for that as well. So yeah, lots of good stuff coming. Always appreciate you guys watching and supporting. And until next time, see ya.